Hello, welcome back to the studio. I'm kind of picking up from where I left off last video. So you may remember, if you watched the previous video, I went through this sketchbook here and showed you some of my sort of abstract studies that I've been kind of playing around with. And I mentioned that I had a whole bunch of boards that I had purchased in order to push these abstract studies out of the sketchbook and onto actual artworks. So that's what I'm doing today. So I probably should have picked up the camera a bit earlier, but I kind of got a bit carried away. So what I've been doing is just basically layering a whole bunch. I have no plan in mind at the moment, other than the fact that I do want these to be sort of forest inspired. So at some point I will be adding tree shapes and tree motifs and things to these. But at the moment, they're kind of just lots of colors. So if you come over to this side, this is an earlier layer. So I haven't quite pushed these ones as far as the others yet. So this is kind of what I started out with. Just using different things to add some textures to these boards. So these boards are actually covered in paper. It's like a timber panel, but it's got paper wrapped around it. In a few places, the paper has started to bubble, but I'll fix that or ignore that. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, so these are the first sort of stages, layers, and now I've progressed this side over here a little bit further by adding in just some more colors. I'm using a limited palette. I started out using whatever colors, but now I have actually narrowed down my palette to be a bit more limited. I'm sort of basing it around blues and greens, but I am letting some of the original layers of colors stay, and because I do like that contrast between the pink and the green. Yeah, so I've got lots of different things. I've got like this is like a graphite, it's not going to focus, this is just a graphite stick. I've got some skewers that I'm using to just scrape into the surface to create different textures. I have some fluid acrylics. It's not going to focus. This is the golden fluid acrylics. I also have just some thicker acrylics. So I'm kind of just doing whatever I feel like at the moment with no plan, because I want to create a really interesting surface to then build up layers onto. And so initially I'm trying to not worry too much about what's happening here. I'm starting to scratch in, so you can see like these are the sort of areas where I've scratched into the wet paint to indicate, you know, trees. Once I've sort of decided roughly what direction they're going in, like this one for example, I've kind of decided that I like the heaviness down here and I'm going to emphasize the tree line up there. This one I haven't quite decided yet which way it's going, but once I decide, I'm just going to keep building up and building up and building up. So I might pop this the phone up on a tripod and hang it over my space so that you can see what I'm doing. And I might, I don't know, do a bit of a time lapse or something for the next half an hour to see how some of these develop. So I don't know if I'm making these better or worse just yet, but I'm doing something, and that's the important thing. Actually, I think this one I'm quite happy with at the moment. It's not done, but I'm liking the way that it's going. It has a lot of really nice texture, and it's starting to have a bit of a foresty feel to it. This one I've lost the plot with a little bit, but I'm going to keep pushing it. This one, I really like this bit up here and what's happening here. Goal here is to really try and get something that's very textural with a lot of mark making and depth and interest, that's also abstract but also representational of a forest. A little bit of everything. But for now, I think I'm going to have to pack up and head home because it's nearly 4 o'clock. So it's time to get dinner ready and do all that sort of stuff. So I'm interested to see how these progress. I will be back in the studio with these this week, and so I'll continue to record my progress. Good afternoon. I'm back in my studio. It's another day. It's Monday. Yeah, and I'm still working on these abstracts. I've only just gotten into the studio, so I haven't been working for very long, but I'm just still building up some things, and I thought I would continue to show you my little progress. So I'm going to show you just a few of the techniques that I'm using. They're, you know, nothing groundbreaking. They're just a few techniques that I'm using to sort of build up these layers. So I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what I'm doing. So I've kind of cleared out this shelf that's on one of my studio walls, so I can kind of display them all together. So I've got the 3 that I was working on the other day up here, and I've got these 3 down here that I've just started working on. And so you'll notice that down here, I've stuck a whole bunch of inspiration. So these are some artworks from artists that I absolutely love. I can't remember the name of all of them, but that's Lisa Morgan. She's an Australian abstract artist. That is Duncan Shanks. He is a Scottish artist that I absolutely adore. That's one of his as well, and so is that. He has incredible mark making. He's a contemporary artist, but yeah, he's in Scotland. That's another one of Lisa Morgan's down there. I can't remember whose that is, but I love the colours. There's over here, there's some TLC of Kivas, who's another Australian artist. So I have all this here as a bit of a reminder for the vibe that I'm going for. Now, obviously, you can see I'm not using any of these inspirations to copy. You know, my artworks, they don't look anything like them, and they're probably not going to even towards the end. This stuff is just here to remind me mainly of the mark making that I want to do, the layering that I want to do, some of the motifs. So you've got, like, you know, obviously I'm wanting to do like forests and trees, and so quite a few of these have those themes in them. And they're also there to sort of give me ideas for colours, colour combinations, but it's mostly just there for mark making and, you know, thinking of like, okay, well, how can I, you know, create a different mark? Like, okay, well, what's this artist done? What's this artist done? This is the way to use artists as inspiration without actually copying them. You may have heard of a book called Steal Like an Artist. I can't remember the name of the author. I'll put it up on the screen now. But essentially, this is something that artists have been doing forever. It's using other artists to help inspire your own work and push your work in a direction that you want to go in. Giving yourself points of, you know, idea generation or color ideas or subject notes or whatever it is that inspires you about this art, by having it in front of you while you're working, it's going to sort of help spur you along. So because I'm wanting to push myself into a lot more of an abstract kind of way, like, you know, this sort of work here, I need to have that in front of me to remind me to not go too literal, because sometimes it's really easy to revert back to what you normally do. And I'm really wanting to push this series of artwork into much more of an abstract space, and I have a lot more texture as well, a lot more texture and variety in my mark making. So that's what I'm kind of going for. And so by having this in front of me here, it's just a reminder while I'm painting to not let my work get too representational. And so this is like a really good way of doing that. The thing that you can, when I see people get into trouble or find themselves too heavily influenced by a particular artist, they're usually using this kind of method a little bit too literally. And instead of just taking bits and pieces from different artworks, they'll find themselves copying one particular artwork. And then, yeah, that's really not the greatest way to do it. I mean, there's a difference between master studies and master copies and using artworks as influence and inspiration. They're two totally different things. But being from an artist's perspective, I have myself had artists copy my work to the point where they have literally done the exact same painting as me as another painting. And while normally I don't mind that sort of thing, if it's just for learning purposes and it's in your sketchbook, or it's going to go on your own wall, or it's just a way for you to learn techniques, that's totally fine. But I've also had artists do that and then include these paintings that are copies of my paintings in, say, exhibitions, or try to sell them online, or, try and profit from the idea that isn't theirs. That's where you're going to get into trouble. And that's where it causes a massive issue with copyright. So I'm not suggesting that that's what happens here, although what you're doing here with this technique, like this having all these inspirational reference images here of other artists, it's there to draw from as an idea and a starting point, but that's about it. I'm definitely not attempting to copy any of these, and you shouldn't either. That's not really how you produce a style of your own. But there is also nothing wrong at all with having other artists' work that inspires you in front of you while you are creating, because it's going to trigger ideas, and it's going to trigger color schemes and pattern making and mark making that maybe you hadn't necessarily thought of, or that, it's, until you sort of see it in front of you, you think, oh, wow, that would actually really help. For example, having, something like this where it's like the really dark down the bottom and then light up the top, you may think, oh, that's actually something that could really help my painting. I'm going to lighten the top of my painting or darken the bottom of my painting. So anyway, that's just to explain a little bit of what's going on here. But back to what I was saying. So these are the 3 that I was working on the other day. They're not finished. I've just put them up there, and I've cleared this whole shelf all the way along here to continue to add these boards. So these are some of the others that I'm working on, that I've just sort of done a few more layers on, and then I still have these ones over here that I haven't really touched yet. These, I'm going to do a different colour scheme on these. I think I'm going to go for warmer colours. I haven't quite decided yet. That's why I haven't done anything. But some of the techniques that I'm using, I'll actually put the camera up on a tripod so I can use my hands. Okay, not sure if this is the greatest angle, but it will have to do, because it's sort of, maybe I can go down a little bit more. Okay, it's a bit better. Right, so some of the techniques that I'm using, I've been applying the paint with paint scrapers, and trying to avoid using brushes too early, because I want my marks to be a lot more sort of rough and spontaneous. So I've been using mostly these types of silicone paint scrapers, and this is a shaper, paint shaper, color shaper, I think it's called actually, by Art Spectrum. These ones are just Catalyst wedges by Princeton. I've got little handheld ones as well. So I've mostly been using this to begin with, to spread the paint around and to create these textured kind of layers of blending, and not really using brushes at this stage. And I've also been using just a regular old timber skewer for kebabs and whatnot, to scratch back into the painting and to create marks and lines and textures into the paint. I've also been using a graphite stick, and what I've just done here is, where did I put it? Can't find the one that I was using. Oh, here it is. So I've just I just drew some stencils. This is old photo paper, so it's a bit thicker than regular paper. It's got a glossy side, but I just sketched out some shapes onto this paper, and I cut it out as little stencils, and I'm just using some paint to create these leaf marks. So I've got a little sponge, and I'm just doing this kind of thing and creating shapes. You can also use the edge of the paper as well if you want a straight line. This paint is still a little bit on here, so you can make straight lines. So maybe you want a bit of a tree trunk thing happening. So maybe put a straight line in here. And yeah, you can create different shapes and things. So I've got some negative shapes and some positive shapes. So I'm playing around with adding some of that stuff on as well. And now I'm going to start, now that I've gotten it to this stage, I am going to start introducing some brush strokes and start building up the layers. I don't really know what is going to happen with these as far as composition goes yet. I haven't decided which way up they're going to go, even whether it's this way up or this way. I haven't quite decided. I really like the pink that's in this one, so I'm trying to retain that little patch of pink. But I've from what I have been reading and watching other artists that are very abstract based online and on YouTube. What I'm learning is that you can't necessarily hold on to areas that you like if it's not going to work. So, for example, I'll just switch these two over so you can see it a bit clearer. So as I was saying, I really like this area of pink here, but as the painting progresses, if this doesn't work compositionally, then I need to be prepared to let it go and put something else there. Yeah, that's all I really need to tell you in regards to this. So I'm gonna keep working on this. I might put it onto time lapse again and build up some of these a bit more, and we'll see where they end up in the next half an hour. Alright, so we now have 6 artworks that are all at the same stage. Not finished, but at the same stage. So let me just zoom out. Because I'm using my camera stand in the shot there. But yeah, I'm building up a nice little collection. I'm liking how they're working together. Obviously there's a lot more to do. These are the 3 that I just finished up a new layer on. I really like the popper orange here and the fact that there's still some of that purpley sort of colours in the background. I like the marks that I've got down the bottom here. I'm going to add some more of this, I think, into the others, especially these ones. These don't have a lot of line work yet, but I do really like that, the line work in the foreground. This one, not sure where that's going yet. I do really like, as soon as I put that bright yellow in, I was immediately much happier with it. Again, that's because contrast. So, you know, the blue contrasts really nicely with the brighter yellow. This almost looks like a school of fish going up into like coral or something. So yes, so I'm liking these. I'm actually think I'm gonna let these ones sit for a little while because I'm gonna be staring at them and deciding what to do next. And so I'm gonna bring these 4 over. The reason why I'm working over there is you can see it's got much better light. There's actually a light, that's a daylight fluorescent. So it's directly above the table, so the light's much better. Over here it's a bit darker. So I'm gonna bring these guys over to the other table and start building up some more layers on these to hopefully get them to the same sort of point as these ones, so that when I get back into the studio next time, I can work on them all in the next stage together. So as I mentioned before, I wanted to make these ones a bit warmer. So I've added a lot more pink and yellow compared to the other ones that I've already done, just to, you know, explore some different sort of color stories. And yeah, also sort of playing around with this negative space, which is something that I've been doing in my paintings for ages. I really love adding in negative space. So I have introduced some of that because I really like the look of it. And I think I might do the same thing with this one as well. Let me just switch these 2 over. Might go over that just a little bit. I've kind of gone a bit heavy-handed with that. So maybe I'll introduce a bit of blue. I'm not really, it's kind of hard to explain how I'm making decisions. I know I'm going to get comments immediately with people asking, oh, how do you know what you're going to put where next? I don't. I'm just doing stuff and seeing what happens and it'll either work or it won't work and I'll cover it over. That's how my decision-making process works at the moment. I'm just seeing what happens. So like these tree shapes that I'm scraping in, I'm just picking up whatever paint was down here and doing that, and seeing what kind of, composition or patterns I could make. Maybe even try painting in a tree and then scraping it. Oh, I like that. That's nice. Hang on. We'll do another one. Maybe I'll do like a whole row of trees for this one. So get some thick paint and use the scraper to scrape it down. So it's there's no plan. I'm just seeing what happens and seeing what I like. And that's the great thing about acrylic paint, is that you can experiment quite a lot with it, because at the end of the day, you can just paint over it again and it's really not going to make a huge difference, or, it's not going to take ages to dry. It's not going to be ruined. Like watercolor, for example, if you play around with it too much, you kind of ruin it. Oil paint takes ages to dry. Acrylic paint, it's kind of the perfect medium to experiment with, because it's really versatile and it's very low commitment. Gonna need to put one in the middle here. Back. Yeah, see, I like that. So I'm probably going to come in, add a different color into the background at some stage. Have some more branches coming out around the other way. Maybe I need a bit of green. This is nickel azo yellow, which makes, you've probably noticed I've been using it a fair bit. It makes really nice greens. It doesn't really matter which blue you add it in with, it makes a really nice green. It's very warm. So if I feel like there's too much, brush stroke and getting too fussy with it, that's why the color scrapers are really handy, because you can kind of messy up what you've just done and make it less perfect. And get some thicker paint. Maybe I'll play around with making the horizon a bit higher in this one. Oops. Getting really enthusiastic there. What else can I add in? Maybe I'll go back to blue and raise it up even higher. I don't know, I'm just experimenting. So maybe I can cut back into this as well. Sort of looks like there's trees a bit further back now. Interesting. Don't mind that. This is looking a bit dark now. I don't want to lose all of that colour though, so what can I do? Maybe Where's my sponge? Yeah, maybe I can wipe it back a bit. Because I don't want it to completely cover over all of this colour and texture. So it does need to be a bit lighter back there. It's all just an experiment. Maybe you can do more of a dry brush maybe. It's a bit more texture. I have a habit of smoothing out my paintings a lot. Just something I also want to try and not do with this series. I want to sort of create more visual roughness with the paint, just for a bit of a different approach to what I normally do. So maybe I don't need to smooth it. Maybe I just need to rough it in. Like a bit of a dry brush. It's got nice texture. I like that you can sort of still see stuff behind it. Maybe that was a bit thinner, thick. These now look totally different, but that's okay. Maybe I need to add some more of these colours down into this one, just to tie them both in a bit. Because I do want them to be, it needs to look like a collection, like a series, so I don't want to go too far away from the colours that are here. Obviously holding my brush very loosely, that's why I keep dropping it. Some of that glaze or yellow, some more greens into the bottom here. It's nearly empty. Impromptu car unboxing. I just went to the post office and picked this up. I ordered some inks from Inked Pens, just a small Australian business that stock the Ferris Wheel Press brand, which I've been seeing a lot pop up all over the place. It's fountain pink pen ink, and they're really pretty. Anyway, I just thought I'd get like a little, you can get like proper bottles and things of the ink, but I thought I'd get like a little tester set. So this is like a little set of 3 5ml vials of ink. So this is the Frosted Carnival collection. So there's Hearty Harvest, Frontenac Blue, and Crystal Blue Legacy. So if I shine it in the light, let's see if I can get the light to shine on it. Are you going to focus for me, camera? Oh, there we go, a little bit. So I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but they are, let me get it in the sun. There we go. They're glittery. See? Yeah, you can see the glitter. They're like super pretty glittery fountain pens. So, and I also got myself a new fountain pen as well, which comes with a, where's the back? a refillable converter, so you can just put whatever colour ink you want into it. So I'm going to use this to then put one of these in and use it for sketching. Yeah. So yeah, the Ferris wheel press have really, really pretty inks, but they're also quite expensive. So, you know, for the average bottle of ink, sorry, it's a bit noisy where I'm sitting at the moment. The average sort of bottle of ink is about 20 ml, and I think it's around $30 Australian for a bottle. So I thought I'd just get, these little mini ones to test them out, to see if I actually like drawing with them in my sketchbook. With my current, pen and ink drawings that I've been doing lately, thought I would branch out and get some different colours. So yeah, that's exciting. I thought you'd like to see my little unboxing. Oh look, they even got me some little prezzies. So yeah, I'm sort of waiting in the car at the moment for Noah's school bus. So I've got about, 40 minutes until he gets here. I'm a bit early today, so maybe I'll put some ink in here and do some sketching. I don't think I'll film it though, because I don't think I'll be able to do it one-handed. So yeah, I'll be back in a minute once I've got it all set up. Well, that was a challenge to do in the car. Here's the little swatches of them. There is a very, I don't know if I can catch it, but there's a very subtle sparkle to the colours, which is very, very nice. It's very nice. So they're the three colours that I got in this particular set. So there's Frontenac Blue, Crystal Blue, and Hearty Harvest. So I've got the light one in the pen. And yeah, it's very nice. So I have another set of inks. I guess the only annoying thing is that in order to change the colour, obviously I have to change the ink. Maybe I need to have 3 of these pens, one with each colour in it, so that I can, I just dipped my finger in them, by the way. One of each colour, so that I can just pick up each colour. I thought I'd try the light one first, because normally I sketch with quite dark inks. So these dark blues and stuff. So I thought maybe I'd try the lighter ink and see how I go with that. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I suppose it's nice. The pens, this one was on sale, but it was still quite an expensive pen. But I don't know, it doesn't feel quite as nice as the Lamy. It feels a bit plasticky, but the nib is really nice. This is a medium nib. Normally the other nibs that I have are fine nibs, so this one is a little bit thicker, so I can get slightly thicker marks with it. So that's why I chose that one. But yeah, that's my little car unboxing. I will report back once I've done some sketching with it to just tell you whether I like it or not. Good afternoon. It's Thursday. I'm back in the studio today. I thought I would flip the camera around and give you a bit of an update on those abstracts that I was working on. Some of them I haven't touched, but some of them I have kind of progressed to a stage where I feel like I'm fairly happy with them. So I'll spin you around and show you what I've been up to. These 3 I'm pretty happy with. So I'll just move the stand out of the way. Really like the colours and the expressiveness in these, and the looseness and all the mark making. I'm pretty happy with these. Sorry, I'm just trying to move that stand. And this one as well. The thing that gets me is they are a little bit too literal. It's they're very abstracted, but they are still quite, there's obvious horizons and obvious foregrounds, and I'm kind of trying to get away from that, but it's really hard to do. This one is another one that I've kind of worked on to a point where I think I'm happy with how it is. I think this one is more successful as an abstract than these 3. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one. The rest of them I haven't really touched. There's a few that I'm not quite sure where to go next with them. Yeah, so I'm kind of just gonna let them sit for a little while, I think. A little while being, maybe next week, I'll just look at them every time I come in here to do something else and decide. Like this one here, I'm really liking this one, and I think this one here is probably at a stage where I don't think I want to do anything else with it, but I'm also not 100% sure, so I'm just gonna let it sit there and think about it for a little bit longer, which is really hard for me to do because I'm not usually an artist that stops mid artwork and thinks about it. Usually I'm really impatient and I just get things done and work really quickly, but I'm kind of trying to force myself to slow down and ponder what I'm trying to actually do a little bit rather than working quite so ferociously. But yeah, that's where they all are at the moment. And so that's it. I think that's where I'm going to end up the video this week. I've been doing a little bit of sketching in this book here. This is the abstract stuff that book that I showed. I'm just using Artgraph. These are graphite, water-soluble graphite, little, I suppose they're not sticks really, they're squares, I guess. I'm just using those just to do some really loose sketching and sort of value studies. I took some photos down by the river the other day and I did some sketching down there as well. So kind of working on those at the moment, but yeah, I think I'll keep working on these. But yeah, I think I'm going to finish up the video here. Let me spin around so you can see me. I think I'll finish up this video here and I'll, yeah, edit it and put together because it's Thursday now, so it'd be nice to get this video out on Saturday. I'm trying really hard to get more videos out more frequently. So this is like the 3rd video that I've done this month already, which is a record for me. So I want to keep that momentum going and try and get this video out for you at least by this weekend. So hopefully you're watching this on Saturday. Yes, anyway, thank you for joining me again. And I hope that you enjoyed having a bit of a look behind the scenes in my studio this week. And a few bits and pieces. That fountain pen and those inks that I tried the other day, I think I'll do more about them in the next video because I haven't really had a chance to explore them much, but so far I'm really loving them. And so I definitely want to do a bit more playing around with those. So maybe in the next video. Anyway, until then, I hope that you are all well and happy and enjoying some creativity in your life, and I will see you next time.